If you're into isekais with tall muscle mommies in armor, look no further than this 2005 classic.
What calls Narnia?
I'm Seth, and today is day 8 of 365 reviewing the movie from every ticket stub I've saved since 2004. We made it through our first full week, and we're into our next week. Today's movie is The Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by Fall Out Boy. I could not resist that Tumblr ass joke. This movie is directed by Andrew Adamson and stars Liam Neeson, Tilda Swinton, and James McAvoy, as well as our 4 cast of main kids. I said in the last video, this is basically Harry Potter for Christians. I was not allowed to ingest Harry Potter materials until I escaped away from the cult that I was raised in. Regrets. I have regrets. Not that it makes it much better to have a Christian background for your fantasy stuff, but I don't know. I feel like C.S. Lewis likely would have been less transphobic. Is that a hot take? This was a youth group outing too, I think, if I remember correctly. I did end up seeing all 3 of these in theaters, and all 3 of them are accounted for in the baggie, so at some point we're going to cover Prince Caspian and Voyage of the Dawn Treader as well. So let's jump into The Chronicles of Narnia. As a kid, I really dug this movie. Of course I dug this movie. I was raised on the BBC version. I was pointing out to my little gallery back here behind me. Lisa watched the movie with me. During the construction of the scene when Aslan comes back to life and takes the girls back to the battle, in the BBC version, it is executed much less cinematically, I'll put it that way, than the version that we get here. And I remember as a kid too, the Minotaur switching from practical effects into CGI for battle sequences. It was seamless. It blew my mind as a kid. And rewatching as an adult, I'm not a hater on this one. Honestly, I thought it was going to be more Christian than I realized, and I think maybe because it was a youth outing and there was so certain there was a sermon paired with this afterwards. There was no sermon on my recent rewatch. There was a lot of chronic Calls of Narnia on my recent rewatch, if you get my drift. Are we slipping through the censor on that one? Is this better than Harry Potter? Maybe yes. That's my hot take for the video, actually. I think Lewis will always outdo Rowling as a writer. I don't think she could write the Screw Tape Letters, and this is all just deep cut shit for a Narnia episode, isn't it?
That's cool to see that you just brought up that series.
Some of the aspects of filmmaking that I'd like to point out, I wanted to highlight the death of Aslan scene. I don't think fantasy movies are willing to go as hard as they did in that scene in particular. The costumes are fantastic. The weight of Aslan's body moving around, like being mixed between practical and CGI effects, that's an accomplishment. That scene is a cinematic accomplishment, and I was really blown away by it watching it last night. Always worth the revisit. I'm really excited to see what Greta Gerwig does. I think an update could be really cool and fun. There's always ways to reinterpret the material. There's always ways to make scenes more impactful. Just beyond excited to see what she does with the death of Aslan scene after seeing the Barbie movie and seeing how big she can go, all the way down to movies like Lady Bird and how small she can go. Like, I can't imagine it not being a second banger. And honestly, I'm gonna go back and say I do remember the BBC Narnia stuff being bangers too, because they were brave enough to do The Silver Chair. If we'd have given them another year, I bet they would have done The Magician's Nephew. I bet they would have. So I'll do rights where they're due, I guess. I'm excited to see how Prince Caspian ages. We were talking about some of the changes from the books and how that affected some of the characterizations that happened in that movie. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I think that's going to do it for this one. If you'd like to know what I scored this, you can check that out over on Letterboxd. Leave a comment with your favorite fantasy film franchise. How do you like that for alliteration? If you'd like to learn about this list of movies, it's over on my Patreon, where there's an exclusive podcast that you get access to when you subscribe to it. I will tell you tomorrow's movie is Peter Jackson's King Kong. I'm stoked for this one. This is, I think, closing out 2005 for us, so it'll be 2006 movies from now on. I think that's it for today, and so I'll just say, see you tomorrow.
You know?
Yeah, I feel...
You know what? Stand by what you say. Yeah, I'm with it. Sorry.
And I could be wrong, but in my...
No, I just had to think about it for a second. But no. Okay, yeah. Say that with your chest.
My real argument is that C.S. Lewis could outthink J.K. Rowling. Truly. That's the core of the real argument.
I agree.
See, I'm going to just leave all this in at the end of the YouTube video.